All right, are we ready for segment 1?
Go for it.
Okay. Put that up. We don't need a disclaimer for segment 1. I'm going to pop it up for half a second. There we go. You can pause it during that time if you want to see the disclaimer. So what are we going to be talking about today? I shall show you. I find them. Oh, yeah. Today is going to be weightlifting class, apparently. And there they are right there. Oops, I just spilled them all over the place. We are going to be talking about... Don't fall. God damn it. Of course, it's the book on the bottom. We're going to be talking about Degenesis. Oh, yeah. By the way, this is the book. We're not even going to finish it.
No.
We're going to get about a third of the way through the book today. And this is just the background. This is the rule. This is the background. These are the rules. Whatever way. These are the rules.
Yeah, and unlike other games where one of them is primary for the player and one of them is primarily for the game master, that's not. No, everyone has to read both of these books. In order to make a character, you have to read both those books. Wow.
I put the link out there. I got the two. So why did I buy this game? Because I just put the link out there to the PDFs for it. Got little dice that come with it. That's all. Mm-hmm. 1 means you fail. There's a 4, you succeed. Can't really see the difference on that camera there, but
yeah, in this game, 1, 2, 3 is a failure, 4, 5, 6 is a success. Where 6 being a special
trigger
kind of success, but
yep. Yeah, and we'll talk about that in a couple weeks, hopefully, as long as I'm still here. But why did I pay €200 for this? By the way, quick shipping, thank you. Of course, it helps that they're in Berlin, and I live in near Kaiserslautern, Germany. So, oh yeah, and I mean, there's a Game Master screen. By the way, this is not a normal crappy cover. I don't know how to explain it other than to say it feels fuzzy. Like, it is a high quality cover, although it collects fingerprints really easily. But this is, I mean, and there's a map. This is the €200 pack, which is What happened to my video?
Froze.
That was weird.
Okay.
Even I saw that. I'm not going to open it all the way up. This is not a cheap, flimsy map. This is an absolute, I'm kind of scared to open it because I feel like I'm opening up like a cardboard box in a way. It's not thick like that. It is really high quality. So I'm happy because it cost €200 for all that. It came in an amazing box, like as in everything was form fitted. Like the box was sturdier than anything you ever get off Amazon. So these guys put in a lot of effort, not just in what we're about to talk about, but even in the physical product itself. So, Heathen Dog, so that we can get this done and over with quick, fast, and in a hurry, do you know why I actually paid €200 for this book that I could get for free by reading a PDF?
Yes, I can tell everyone.
Okay.
Couple of reasons. The first, and this is in no particular order, but apparently these Germans understand the English language. They understand he, him, she, her, them, they, and how to use them properly. That was what initially got Max Liao to give a deeper look into the game. But to be fair, he's been burned before.
Yes.
He's seen previews where in the preview pages of a game that hooked him, they properly used all of those terms. And so he's like, "Oh, rock on!" And then when he got the book, it was a sham. It was
Battlelords of the 23rd century. A perfect example of that.
Yeah, one. It was sawdust in the oil pan. It was all a lie, and it was actually crap.
Yeah, I absolutely want to
I have
thank...
many games that have and will not ever play, but as reading material, I love them all. Well, then you're going to love this book.
I want to play this. Like, I'm not even done reading it all, and I already want to play this. But there's a different shtick to that. To piggyback on what Heathen Dog said before he goes into whatever his next point is, because I honestly don't know what it is. I want to thank, and I don't have the book open in front of me, but when we go through the PDF, I really do. I want to thank these Germans, because as somebody who's currently living in Germany and lived here for about 10 years, I know how Germany can get sometimes, but thank you Thank you for not falling into the nonsense English that everybody's trying to make you do right now and actually using true English. And on top of that, hopefully I'm not taking some thunder away from you. You used English? Seaton Dog and I were talking about this before we started streaming, that we're not even sure a lot of people will understand fully. There are words, vernacular, and jargon in there that I think may actually go over some people's head, at least on the first read. So, well done.
Yeah. And the second one is something that Max Liao isn't impressed with overall, but okay. I'm pretty sure that the artwork and the design of this book really hooked him as well. Because the artwork in this thing and the overall design of the pages is very, very visually stimulating.
It is going very, well, Aaron the Pedantic. Remember, we did a video. He did a reaction video to us.
Oh, right.
Hello. That was awesome. That was awesome. No, hey, I look, I've been watching, not everything, because I don't watch Let's Plays as we talked about last week, but I've been watching his channel. I like his channel. Like, everybody should go, don't do it while you're watching us, but you should actually, on the YouTube side, go follow Aaron the Pedantic. Go do that. Actually, the first thing with Degenesis that got me interested was the art. It was Indigo Dragon. He posted a comment, and he's like, I'm a sucker for good art. I'm like, so am I. I'll take a look. But all of a sudden, I looked at it. I was like, WTF, this isn't just good art. But I started reading the book. Then it wasn't done in they, them bullshit language format like these little hippies want you to do. And I'm like, I am sold. I'm going to buy it. Absolutely. It's not just PDF time for me. It's buy it. All right. What's the last thing? Because I think you said there was one more reason why you think that I liked it.
Oh, no. That's pretty much all I had. Oh. Now it was for me.
Okay.
I like it for both those reasons as well. More the art than the language, because I can my brain can filter that better than yours can. But
yes,
I like that they separated the rules from the lore.
Jesus Christ, they had to.
Well, yeah, it's true. But the reason I like that is because you can take a lot more artistic liberty with the lore, with phrasing and with language, flowery language, stuff like that. You can take a lot more liberty with that. But if they keep that kind of artistic liberal language arts in the rules, then I got a problem, because I feel that the rules for a game should be as straightforward language as possible. As straightforward to deliver the facts. Have you read any of it yet? And quickly as possible. But in the lore part, you have freedom to be a little bit more poetic. And that's exactly what this whole lore book is. It's poetic language, not actual poems, but poetic-like language to impart not just the facts of what has happened and what's going on in the world, but also a feeling of despair, a feeling of trudging through the day, of waking up in the morning and having the realization every day that there's a really good chance this is your last day.
Mm-hmm. One of the things about like that is it's not written with a lot of adjectives, but the entire premise, and you'll see this as we start looking at it, like just the way it is written. He said it right. It's poetic. It's definitely a narrative style, but not done in a bad way. But it gives you the feeling of the world, and much better. I've been burned so much, as Ethan Dog said, about a book that I think I was gonna like, and for whatever reason turned into crap. This is done. Actually, this elevated. This turned into a book. I hope I'm not overselling it. In fact, we're scared. We talked about it beforehand, and we even kind of talked before the segment. We're scared that we're not going to do it justice because of how little we know about it, how hard of a read it was in terms of really grasping everything, like how it all really fits together. What would you say? That somebody's going to punch us in the face?
Yeah.
Please don't do that.
It took me almost 3 hours to get through one of the 13 different cults in the book. 3 hours to actually wrap my brain around this. So yeah, people who know the game and love the game and are fanatical about the game are really going to be pissed off at the high level overview that we're doing. Like, you're not doing it justice. You're right. We're not.
And to be fair, until we've played it a few times, I don't think we could do it justice.
But even we'd have to read it with a whole book cover to cover 2 or 3 times to actually do it right.
Sure.
Ish. And we just don't have that kind of time because both those books are freaking huge. Like this book is what, 360 pages?
Something like
368 pages. Just the storybook, the background book.
So Ravens, the reason I backed it, obviously for the things that we talked about before, was because, they still give out the free PDFs for you. And if you didn't see the link in chat, I can post it again if you need. But I think we start diving into this now because, I think we've hyped them up and knocked ourselves down enough to the point where people should get it.
Yeah, they should not want to now kick us in the daddy pills. So
the daddy pills. Okay, well, the first part of the book is me. Oh, wait, the second part of the book isn't even going to happen today.
No, it definitely not. The first part of the book isn't going to happen today. Not all of it.
It is. Oh, yeah, I'm getting through all my stuff today. Okay. We're going to start now. It is 6:37 p.m. here in Germany. We're going to get through this. Okay, so Degenesis Primal Punk. We're not reading this word for word, to be fair. All right, the map's sideways. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. But if you look closely, you can kind of see there's Spain.
Can you flip it?
Can I? I've actually never tried that before. I'm sure there's a way. Is that a flip? Oh, there we go. Oh, just flip it. There. Okay. Look at you knowing your PDFs and stuff.
Yeah, look at
that. So anyway, if you look closely, you can see this is Spain, called Hyperspania, and you'll find out why later. Here's Italy with Sicily and so forth, right there, right? You got the Balkans, you got Poland, you've got kind of Germany-ish, and you've got Africa, okay? The thing to note is these red dots are where big bad asteroids landed 500 years ago in game time.
Yeah.
All right? So, and you can see some of the names have changed, and we'll talk about them more later, like Paris is now Parasite. Love it. All right, let's get the book back on track. Is that up or upside down?
We'll find out.
We'll find out. Okay. Only
once. Look at that.
If you do it right, once is enough. Degenesis Primal Punk. And by the way, this is how the book looks and feels. If you want me to, I can open up my book. This book is amazing. Editorial. So let's think. I want to thank all these people, especially this editor down here, Liam Foley, because editors usually change, people's writing. No. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. 6 more vodka. Special thanks. There you go. You can pause it if you want to see all the names, but every one of them deserves a thank you. Actually, I'm looking sideways again. Hold on. Slide this over here. I don't need to see me. You can read chat for me.
Okay. Thank you, Steve the NPC, for the follow. Appreciate it. And Crafty says right now it's on sale if you want to buy the actual books. So that's good.
I didn't get it on sale.
Well, no, you backed it, so you got special stuff. I'm sure that this sale price does not include a cool DM screen or dice or whatever.
It's €200. All right, let's go into the. So far I'm happy to back it. I saw this. I'm like, yep, I'm going to be disturbed. I'm going to be disturbed from this whole book, just from the first damn picture. There you go. Here, let's zoom out a little bit. There we go. Now we can see. Yeah, now you kind of know what kind of game you're getting into. But it all makes sense. I got to be honest. It's not creepiness for the sake of being creepy. It has a story behind it. Like a huge story. I am not reading all this stuff, even though this is kind of like the background to the game. It's got these little poems in here for 4. Anybody who's done like the White Wolf games might recognize this kind of
something like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the beginning of every section, it'll have some kind of story with characters going through something that pertains to the information that follows.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to stop too much at the art, but starting to see a theme here, huh?
Yeah.
Lots of skulls. One of the things that we're going to say by not going over this, and Heathen Dog already gave you the rundown, like we get it, it's a 10,000 foot view, maybe 100,000 foot view, is the fact that if you like the idea of this, just get it. The PDF is free. Read it yourself. You're gonna love it more reading it yourself anyway.
Yeah, at the very least, I'm talking bare minimum. After you read this, you will be able to incorporate some of the ideas and themes into other games.
Mm-hmm. Which page am I on?
Everyone's going to be shocked.
All right, let me go to my notes here. So yeah, on page 22, I kind of passed it. Well, Rebirth right here. Okay, so this is page 22, so it's going to be 4 pages different. Got it. This right here, this is a background story that gets you into the feel of the book. And by the way, I have notes. Oh, you can't. How is yellow affected by my green screen? There we go. So if you can't see all that, I've got notes. So things that we're going to talk about. So what do I have here? I have it's 2 books. The Primal Book includes the background of the situation that the world's in. It is Earth in the future. Talks about the cultures. Think of it as like countries for now, but they're the cultures, the cults, major organizations, and kind of how people are grouping themselves in a post-apocalyptic world. And there's a history timeline at the end. Today, we're going to talk about the background and the cultures. And by talk about, we're going to identify they exist.
That's basically all there is.
So the second book, Catharsis, that's the rules and mechanics and how to make characters. So if you do go to that link, there'll be 2 books to download. You do need them both. All right. So next we got, so what is Degenesis? Well, Eschaton, get used to that word. That basically means Armageddon. That is the end of the world. What is a role-playing game?
Well, that was part 1 of the end of the world.
Right. That's when the asteroids hit.
Yeah.
So actually, I guess it kind of starts here. This whole 4-page difference thing is going to kill me. It says, read the last 2 paragraphs. All right. Degenesis is about hope and despair. It's about people and the conflicting priorities of human civilization, daring to ask how far our race has truly come since we climbed down from the trees. The world of Degenesis is like a ruined Garden of Eden, containing the secrets and spoils of both good and evil, of ignorance and enlightenment, of barbarity and virtue. As a role-playing game, Degenesis presents this world to players who portray characters, PCs, faced with this inhospitable future. They'll need to make a stand that will influence the path of their lives and the fate for those around them. If not for the world and civilization at large, for better or worse, it is up to them. Now, we have people in Legion of Myth that are on both sides of the fence and somewhere in the middle. Is this a story game? Probably. Don't care. You know how I feel about that. Is it a strict just pick it up and play for the weekend beer and pretzels game? I don't think so. This is one of those that even if you sandbox it, there's a lot of background, a lot of story you're going to need to know.
And all of it is necessary to play your character properly. All of it.
Where is that? So the book seems to be I can't read. I can read that. I can't read this because it's written in English probably. The book seems to be well put together with nice art, but not for me. And, actually I should have kind of mentioned that before because I thought Heathen Dog was going to say that for the third reason why I really like this game. Other than anthropomorphic animals, I have another theme of the type of game I like to play typically. You know what that is? Post-apocalyptic.
Really?
If you look at Forbidden Lands, it's basically post-apocalyptic. What's Earth Dawn? Post-apocalyptic. What's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? The era we played was post-apocalyptic. What's Rifts, really?
Yeah, Rifts and Mutants in Orbit.
Yep. So, yeah, I like that, but they tend to be either Mad Maxy or cyberpunky. This is take them both, put them together, and then add bugs. All right, so this tells what's in the books. We'll slow down for a little bit of the art. As you can see, I mean, it's not completely destroyed civilization. He's got a nice little coat there. It's not like he's just wearing bones. Oh, and there are vehicles in the game and so forth. So
and as you can see from the dimness of my screen now, a lot of the pages are black.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot you don't like that. See,
the pages are black.
That doesn't bother me. I've read both the PDF. I've read it here on my tablet and the hardcover book. I don't have any issues with it, but I do get it. You know, some people don't like the white text on black background. Doesn't bother me at all. It's probably because I have these things and it refocuses all light anyway into laser beams on the back of my eye. That looks like a fun little asteroid. If I take too much time to start the art, we're not going to get through this. So I'm going to kind of... Beginning of the end. Okay, what page are we on? It says 35 there, so that means 31 for me. So again, a little story just to kind of get into it. And this kind of talks about the transformation of a guy into a psychonaut. What's a psychonaut? Oh, we'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, Eschaton. What is Eschaton? Eschaton is Armageddon. In the year 2073, I will be 100 years old when that happens. Asteroids hit the planet. It says here, I need to read the last 2 paragraphs of Eschaton. All right. So that day, society, as it was known, crumbled. 10,000 years of civilization vaporized in a day. That day was given many names by the few survivors: apocalypse, global conflagration, Armageddon. Worn out phrases to help them accept the finality of it all. A last bottle of wine, cold metal against the temple, a crooked finger. And that was it. But mankind lived on. And this was not the end. Yes, the old world was gone, and no one and nothing could ever bring back the good old days. Aw. The people who strove for an explanation found it in spirituality. Did the oh my God. I'll keep wanting to say ecclesiastical, but that is not the word. It is eschatological. There we go. God, letters, man. Did the eschatological doctrine of the world not foretell such events? The downfall of creation, the dawn of the new world. It felt good and full of hope. These asteroids had not brought the apocalypse. They brought the Eschaton, a new beginning. Now humanity only had to endure the night. That is what you can expect from reading this entire book.
Except it gets worse.
I don't know about worse, but yes.
Oh no, it gets worse. Like you thought asteroids falling from the sky, bombing us back to the not the Stone Age, but the Iron Age was bad enough. No, man. That was just the start. Come on.
Since I'm not paying too much attention to chat, probably gonna end up buying this in physical copy if possible. It sounds pretty sweet. Let us get through it first.
Yeah, like I said, this is a 10,000 foot overview. So if you like the 10,000 foot, then go ahead and buy it.
I have not seen the movie Greenland, so
After the movie Greenland, yes, I have seen the movie Greenland. And when at the end, when they come out of the bunker and they see the ruined landscape of what used to be humanity, and are completely bereft of hope until they see a couple of birds, little Tweety birds flying around, and then they realize that life isn't completely dead. That little sliver of hope, that's what you got. And of course, the game later on takes that little sliver of hope and jams it in your eyeball. So
I don't know. Maybe you know something I don't, but I think the hope in this game is always there. I didn't feel cheated. Like sometimes you'll read something and you'll feel cheated, like you know that there's no possible good outcome. In this one, sure, short term there might not be any good possible good outcome, but this game always, to me, just gave me, you know what, I don't want to end it all right now, because just maybe I can help flicker that flame of, whatever going forward. I don't know. That was me. Anywho, so after the asteroids hit, there was a little mini ice age, and by mini I mean it didn't last 10,000 years. It only lasted a couple hundred years. And if I'm looking down because I want to go through my notes here, otherwise we're going to get sidetracked crazily. By the way, the Sahara is a habitable there you go, English area now. So it changed the entire globe. I didn't really show you on the map, but the north is just one big glacier. And then like South Africa is a glacier and so on and so forth. So kind of where the Sahara is now and a little south is subtropical. And as we'll talk about in a bit, it gave rise to Africa. So got that to look forward to. And the game takes place, so after the Ice Age, people form clans for survival, which ultimately form the 13 cults that next week we'll talk about. Hopefully. Think a week will be enough for you to get through that?
God, I hope so.
Okay, because Heathen Dog's doing that one. Thank you, Heathen Dog. Everybody thank you, Heathen Dog. So they form, obviously what's going to happen at the end of the world? Things go badly, you're going to find, people, your communities and so on and so forth. In this game, they're called cults because each one kind of took on a personality. I mean, it's just kind of
and there's an obvious reason for that. When a global apocalypse happens, the only communication you have are with those nearby. You can't share communication. You can't share knowledge with places that are even 50, 100 miles away. It's just not possible. So all the information you learn is clustered in a very, very small area. So each of these small areas will socially grow differently than one another. And after a while, they will become distinguished, separate entities. Even people in northern and middle Wisconsin are going to have radically different worldviews after even less than a generation, because they have different experiences, different ways of combating the darkness or encroaching threat. And so they're going to only identify with each other. Everyone else is going to be an outsider.
That doesn't even take into account, as we'll talk about later, the different psychonauts for each land, for each
area of the world. Yeah,
which is an actual thing, and it's one of those things that they can't explain. They're like, wait a minute, why is it like this? The psychonauts.
We haven't gotten to the psychonauts yet. Come on.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so. So seven cultures exist. I'm using the normal terms right now, and we'll get into what they're really called later. Spain, France, Germany, Poland, the Balkans, Italy, and Africa essentially are their own cultures / civilizations now. Okay. This says, read the second paragraph under infected. Okay, I will do that. All of this was inconsequential compared to the horrors to come. Embedded in the asteroids, because we talked about the asteroids mashing the planet, right? Deep within its carbon bonds and iron crystals was evolution in its purest form, the primer. A mysterious substance that leaked from the craters years after impact. It rose as a black mist, embedding microscopic spores into organic matter. The spores unraveled and coiled in fractal loops. Oh, I like that word fractal now that I know something in the future. Interesting. Sorry, that just hit me. In fractal loops around the very DNA of its host, adding nothing but instead rebooting its genetic code and opening alternative pathways to corrupt. By the way, this is one of those paragraphs that I noticed that the English was awesome in, because so many people now say they for everything, not even non-gender crap, like entities. And I was expecting to read this, rebooting their genetic code. No, the word would be its. So thank you. I'm telling you, these Germans know how to write English better than most of us. So Homo Degenesis is what they're called. So there are two types of humans basically now. Humans, Homo sapiens, and Homo Degenesis. The ones that are Homo Degenesis, which the game is named after, are the ones affected by this DNA. It's DNA rewrite, and we'll get into that more in a bit. And it says, read the first three paragraphs. Why am I reading three paragraphs? God dang it. Maybe because I counted that a paragraph? I don't know. A few decades after the eschaton, there was no life anywhere close to the craters. The primer coated the glazed hills like a varnish. It preserved, absorbing fungal spores hidden within hollows, sunken into the dust, carried upon the wind and ash. Again, this is that poetic prose that it uses right there. The infection had begun. When humans first saw the fungal infection, they thought the world itself was rotting. They called it sepsis. You're going to hear that term, especially when we talk about the Balkans and whatnot, but there are multiple terms for this. The burn, sepsis, what was it? I forget what are the other ones. I can't remember off the top of my head. But you're going to see multiple terms, but it's all the same thing. They didn't know how to describe it. They thought they were rotting, but they weren't. They're actually being recoded. The infection psychonauts are the scary part of the setting for... Yeah, they should be. Okay. The reason I'm reading certain paragraphs off is to give you what I think the important feel is. If you really want to know more, read the PDF. So, okay, so the spores, mother spore fields. Those are the big ones. Those I don't want to say the ones that started it all. That's not right. Those are the big ones. Those are the ones that are the most concerning. Those are the ones that do the most damage. Those are the ones where the psychonauts come from. A human baby born too close to one of these areas is affected. An adult might just die. or might not be affected at all, or might be affected in different ways.
Or usually be like a carrier for the unborn fetus to be infected.
Can be, yes.
Yeah.
A baby born in this area, it's kind of like that whole where you're born under a power line. Well, they are actually changed into these psychonauts. So mother's for I don't want to read all this. It's oh yeah. It's
Wait,
kind of.
are you glossing over the part where in some of the cultures of a baby that exhibits traits of being a psychonaut is
beat against a rock?
Is Spartanized?
Yeah. No, it says beat against a rock or a tree.
Beat against a rock, thrown off a cliff, whatever. Yeah, they're just killed. They're that dangerous. Murdering babies is fine. Well,
I wouldn't say it's fine. It even says in here that, kind of you have to do. Some wouldn't allow it to happen. So, yeah, this is a really high level overview. So yeah, I am skipping some of that. So there's homogenesis, seed, epigenesis, importance and wonders. I'm not going through unless it says here I have to. So depending on who you are and the type of psychonaut, this fungus infiltrates you. It has you looking like you got rabies. You're foaming from the mouth. You spit on the ground, and it's kind of like a little bubbling, festering mass. It's just good times for all. This is where I actually have the notes. Affects adults and children differently. Adults are rotted away to become new spores. Congratulations, you're a mushroom. You're a myconid now. Babies born close to mother spores become aberrants or psychonauts. I was hoping they'd use the word aberrant more. Of course, I was wrong. It says on page 36, read paragraph 1 of the last column. Ah, shit, where's 36? There's 39. Okay, so I went way past it. Within time, the climate zone polarized. This doesn't seem right. No, it doesn't seem right at all. It's supposed to talk about the chakras. I think I'm wrong about my page numbers.
Yeah, I think you are, because I don't think we gotten there yet.
Yeah. The final battle, it would be the next thing.
Is it under phenotype?
I don't know.
No, homogenesis.
Oh, here we go.
There you
go. According to old text, they need to be balanced with. Oh, this goes in the chakras. You know what? I don't think that's important to talk about anymore. Because that goes way down a rabbit hole. The chakras and the mandalas. Just know that people who are psychonauts, they have these weird shapes on them. Like the spores form effectively a mandala, and each one coincides with a culture or a land.
Yeah, it depends on basically your genetic background to what kind of psychonaut you will become, to what powers you will manifest, what abilities you'll have. And each one is marked by a sigil made of the spore growth or whatever you want to call it on a certain part of your body where your ancient the ancient idea of chakras and where they are on your body coincide. So
now, where a normal human is affected by all the chakras, a psychonaut. One exactly. Exposes itself,
and that's what causes them to be so divorced from humanity. Because a regular human, in the philosophy of the whole chakra thing, is that to be a fully enlightened human, all your chakras have to be open, and therefore you will have all of the ability to have the knowledge of the universe pass through you evenly with the flow unrestricted. But a psych that is a do not mess with me in comments, okay? That is a general overview. Stop it. But the psychonauts have all of their chakras blocked except for the one that corresponds to their genetic background, and it makes them a completely uneven human living being. So their thought processes and actions seem completely abhorrent to most humans because they are now basically alien in the way of thinking and the way of acting. They're
definitely a different species, which is why they're, Homo Degenesis.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was going to read the final battle here, but it's been up on the screen long enough where you can pause it and you can read it yourself. But essentially, I'll just do the last one. Humankind stands at a crossroad. No less than its soul is at stake. Yeshatan was only the prelude. The final battle has begun. All right, the 5 raptures, the 5 types of psychonauts known today. I was actually going to skip over this, but after reading each of the cultures, I have to do this. We have to talk about what each one is, or we have to come back to this, and I don't know how to mark the page because, I'm PDF stupid. I like physical books. So you can always remember it's on page 42 if Heathen Dog wants to jog my memory on this. But just for example, Poland. So in Poland, the Poland area, psychonauts of the biokinesis rapture use their body as a tool they can shape to their liking. Bone spurs grow from their arms into wickedly sharp blades, and their skulls are malformed and without a single weak spot. They guard their spore fields, merge with them, give and take energy. Their wounds heal rapidly, damaged organs are replaced with improved copies in days. They carry their poisonous plagues in skin folds. That's going to be kind of a common theme, by the way. Spiders, scorpions, centipedes, all the venomous wasteland scum. Now, this is probably the easiest one to understand. Oh, so you're basically a mutant that's strong and can fight. And that makes sense because Pollen, the entirety when we get to it of Pollen is about strength and so forth. Some of these, like the precog, these are going to get weird. So we'll come back to it. What is it, page 42? Yeah, we'll deal with that later.
But to be fair to everyone watching this, the idea of going to get weird is a sliding scale with this book. All right. It's already weird, but it's about to go rabbit hole. So
I think in a good way. The crow and the lion. So essentially what that breaks down to is the crow, those are the European nations. The lion, that's Africa. I honestly, this is yet another area where I was like, we'll bypass this because we'll talk about it more later, and we're going to. But I think that this is actually a better breakdown for a short episode. I'm not going to read them, but this. If you're on what page are we on? 46. If you're on page 46, you can get the breakdown of what each one is without going into too deep of a rabbit hole. Each of the lands. What's the next thing I really want to talk about? Nope, I don't want to talk about that. So those were the these were the what do they call them? Cultures?
Yeah, cultures or
civilizations, whatever they are.
I really want to say countries, but
I know, me
they're
too.
not because it's not, they're not really governments, but confederation of city states maybe with ancestry.
I'd say more like ancestry. It's funny because I always call them civilizations, but I think they are called cultures in the book. But okay, but after that, then you have the 13 cults, which are kind of like organizations within the 7 cultures. And some of these, like the Neo-Libyans, are pretty much focused in Africa. Well, other than the fact that this conquerors of the world is pretty apt, yeah. But other ones are all over the place. Where are they? Oh, they're not in alphabetical order. Well,
Spitalians by definition are everywhere.
Yeah,
because they came from old, 500 years ago when all the thing hits. They were doctors. Mm-hmm. That their culture changed to try and combat the plague, and they became Spitalians. What would you call them? Cultures?
Cult.
Yeah. Each culture has a cult of Spitalia inside them. They work differently because of geographical distance. Like I said, each group of people is going to evolve differently because they don't have contact with each other on a regular basis, but they have the same basic tenets.
That was the only one that he read, by the way.
Exactly. Like I said, 3 hours just to get through that one.
The Anabaptists, they're in multiple different cultures. I used to be a linguist many lifetimes ago. And I like seeing, you can see it everywhere. Don't get me wrong. Now, this used to be a real organization, the Anabaptists. The Nubians, obviously, look, it's got Anubis basically there. Kind of figure out where they're from and so forth. But I don't know if it was intentional or it's just me reading into stuff like this, but this is a combination. And it makes perfect sense for the area that they come from and what they do and so forth. It's actually a combination of God/Jesus and Muhammad. I see this and I think House Merrick. Sorry, but that's House Merrick from BattleTech. Gonna skip the Marauders, but there's a lot of that in the game, not just in the country names, but one of the things we were talking about again before the stream is that a lot of these, I said country again, didn't I? These cultures go back to their historical roots. For example, just real quickly, Italy or Purgatory is a group of city-states, familial city-states, which if you look at Italy and was it like the 12th, 13th, 14th century, it's kind of how it was.
Yeah.
All right, what's the next one I really want to talk about here? This overview is just, we're doing 2 weeks of this overview just so we can then start talking about the game system in, 2 weeks from now. Stardust is like a rebirth. Okay, so are we at the Stardust part or did I pass it? Page 56. This. Oh, Chernobog. So as somebody who speaks Russian, not fluently, but I speak Russian. This just drives me nuts. But it's funny. When they do it in English, I don't care. When they did it in Russian, it bothered me. Like I said, they take little words and they tweak it. They change it a little bit so you can see what the root is. But in Russian, they say chort, which is black. Or, or this literally, well, if this was a little bit different, it would translate into black god. Makes sense. Chorny Bog is black god, basically means the devil. They changed it around a little bit to Chernobyl. I mean, what? Bog. I'm not saying they did that. If they did, nice. If they didn't, well, I read that into it. Because the first thing I saw from this was Chernobyl, and then Bog, which means God in Russian. Anyway, next thing I have to talk about, there you go. There's Chernobyl right there. I keep on saying Chorny Borg, Bog, because that's how I'm used to saying it. And these are probably, wouldn't you say that these are the Poloners? Maybe?
The barbarian
I don't know.
dudes?
Well, he might be. I don't know. Maybe that guy is too. I don't know. Okay. Cultures. That's what they're called. Cultures. I keep calling them civilizations, but they're cultures. Stardust. Okay, so now we're at the end of my yellow pages. This is just another little intro story to keep you in the mood, keep you understanding what's going on and how people think. The first one we're going to talk about is Borka. Now, this one I don't understand fully. Now, Heathen Dog had a theory, but that's because I said it wrong the first time, so his theory might be based on bad information. But he thinks it might be based on the Broca Divide, which would make sense. So what is Borka? Borka is effectively Germany, or the Holy Roman Empire. So, again, without reading every word, in fact, I'm probably going to stop on a picture. There we go. Stop on a picture for a little bit. So it's essentially Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Czech Republic, Czechoslovakia, if you want to do it that way, because, we're old. It's broken into two. There's the east side and the west side, like East Germany, West Germany. But it's much more physical in this regard. It's not just a line on a map.
Yeah, it's a giant chasm.
Yes, a giant chasm on the map. It says I'm supposed to read page 59. I am way past page 59. I think the PDF doesn't match the main book. I'm really believing that. The PDF does not match the main book because Borka starts here and it says I'm supposed to read paragraphs 3 and 4. So I'm pretty sure it means this. So 63. All right. Borka is a wilderness of stone and dust full of giant buildings, endless stone labyrinths, overgrown craters, and wide plains. Rusted signs covered up by dirt and lichen point to sunken cities. Under the centuries of varnish baked into the ashen earth, technical wonders wait for the spade that unearths them. The people in this area are tough and stubborn, like plains grass that grows in spite of the dust. And by the way, the entire area, I might read it here in a second, I don't know, is covered with this reddish dust that came basically from the asteroid and whatnot. They don't see decay, they see opportunities. The ruins and rich artifact fields may be their legacy, but their future will be far greater. Piece by piece, they build a new world, erecting metropolises like Justitian. Cathedral City, or Osmond from the ruins, dividing the land into parcels to claim and fortify. Now, Justitian is basically the capital of what's called the Protectorate. It's probably the only non-culture country. The quick version of the Protectorate is they came in and said, hey, this is going to sound reminiscent of the Theran Empire to you. But they came in and said, hey, we're going to beat back the bad guys. So all you have to do is, well, listen to us. But think of like a hardcore, like all the worst of the worst that you heard, medieval Catholic tradition. If you are going to do what we say, it is pure authoritarianism, and you're going to listen to us or we're going to club you in the head, literally. So, yeah, the Protectorate isn't, I mean, it's, if you want to live, there's no place better. Absolutely no place better if you simply just want to live and don't care how you live. If you want a bit of freedom, it is
not for you.
What's that? Oh, yeah, it won't be for you at all. Us libertarians, we're not going to make it there. We have to make a decision. Do we want to live? So page 60, which I guess would be 64 now. There's Justitian, so 64 would be up here. It says, read the last paragraph, and one body split in two. Borca was cut in two by the Reaper's blow. Like twins, both body parts share the memories of the bygones. By the way, the bygones, that's us. That's our era that we live in right now in the real world.
Whenever I read something written like that, I think of Children of the Corn. You know, like the old times, the before days or whatever. Like
there's a Rick and Morty episode that does that too. It's like, yes. I can't. Of course, it's escaping it now that I want to remember. Yeah, Rick and Morty does that too. But when they do their Mad Max world, where was I? Their beliefs and cultural roots. But the people west of Reaper's Blow differ from those of the east, for the twins had to spend their youth separated from each other. So it gets a little mystical there. West Borca is infertile and frozen in the north. Russet clouds, red dust, flora fight to survive in the south. You must wear protection or hide during dust storms, but these dust storms have basically become rare. They used to be frequent, but now they're pretty much rare. But you still have to cover up or you're done. And then it says, Barons adapt. Read the third paragraph. Again, we're not going to cover everything about Justitian. If you really care about it, get the book. It's the Protectorate, Old Grudges, the Festering. I feel like I've gone way past what it said I was supposed to read.
And you didn't talk about one side has
I'm going to.
one resource, the other side has a different kind of resource.
I'm going to do that when we get to talk about East Borca.
Oh, okay.
Because these page numbers no longer match up, I think it's here. Third paragraph. 1, 2, 3. The Borcans adapt. Yeah, this is it. Clad in layers of heavy cloth and fur that make even a weakling look like a colossus. Well, maybe not the Polliners, but Borcans do their daily work. Tens of thousands spread out every spring to mine West Borca's treasures hidden in the ruins. Scrap. They scratch their mark into concrete walls, marking areas as plundered or warning against savages. They carry their bounty into the cities where the precious artifacts are bought by the chroniclers. So this is what I was talking about, and this is okay. So I was wrong when I was talking to you before when you were talking about your Septians. I thought there was a separate group that worked with them, but no, it's the chroniclers and the scrappers that are bought by the chroniclers, and the rest is melted down, reforged, or stacked in the scrappers' quarters in the hope it becomes valuable later.
Okay, now quick aside: chroniclers and scrappers are two of the cults.
Cults, yep.
Chroniclers are the ones that catalog and test and decide if old technology is useful or not, and if it is, great, they take it and try and help mankind with it. If not, it goes to the scrappers. The scrappers are the clan that melts down stuff that is considered junk to again make use to make it useful in society again, either making the stuff for buildings or roads or vehicles or whatever.
I would be careful. I mean, I understand, for money purposes and so forth, and they want to sell a product. One of the things that I would caution is don't provide too much information, because then the setting becomes kind of novel-esque. Yeah, it's like Dragonlance.
Yep.
Dragonlance is too rigid because everybody knows where everything is supposed to be down to the exact mile and weather pattern and so forth. I like these books, and any sort of like generic source book or adventure campaign book is helpful as well. But I wouldn't want them to go too much further than what's in this book. I'd be nervous of it, just because if you define it too much, it's, it might be helpful for the game master, but it starts railroading characters a bit more, or railroading the game master even a little bit more.
Right. A really good setting is one that's loose enough to where you can, to phrase it like this, play around the music, where the music is the general arc of the story, but that there's enough wiggle room to where your characters, while not part of the main story, can be tangential to it and not affect the outcome, but still feel like you're helping. But if it becomes too rigid, then you can't place your characters in that setting without breaking the setting.
It'd be something where if Heathen Dog and I were to run it, we could both recognize it as Justitian, but it would be his take on it and my take on it. We'd still recognize it, but it'd be different enough to have, our two different campaigns. Yeah. And I didn't say it earlier, and in case I forget to say it later, I look at this similarly to how Heathen Dog looks at riffs, and we'll get into that in a little bit. By the way, Borka is going to be the longest one we talk about. We'll go through the other ones a bit quicker, but there are some things about Borka that have to be discussed. And I compare this to riffs, where each world book is its own setting meant to be played in its own way. So you can go from being in Riffs, Riffs Japan, to the main Riffs book, to a Riffs, what was that one we talked about, New West, whatever. And each of those
they're all
are
the same world, but you're not meant to have campaigns in all of them.
Right. Now, this may flow a little more homogenized than that, but you could easily say, okay, we're playing Frankish characters, we're playing Hyperspania, how the hell you say that, characters, and so forth. You could easily do that because this world is so vast, but also as you lock down through travel, through the Psychonauts, through whatever, you could spend your entire time. This is the only futuristic game I've looked at so far where in my head, while I was reading it, I could say, I could picture the characters never leaving this city. Maybe going to a couple of villages, because there's always something that could be done here. And you could be, very experienced characters without actually going too far. Now, would that be fun? Maybe not. But the point is there's always something that can happen.
See you later, Crafty. Thanks for stopping by.
All right, Crafty. Thank you. So there were a couple things in Justitian I wanted to say. So Borka's largest metropolis can be found at the heart of the scrap craze. Justitian, the righteous fist. Take that stuff, they don't just call it like that to be flowery. The source of law and order in this wasteland, and a truly charismatic place. So, Justitian is the capital of the Protectorate. Then it says go to the next page and manufacturers and Tech Central. That's just a little story thing. Okay, I don't see it, and I don't want to keep looking for it. So if I miss something...
Were you talking about the Protectorate?
It says start with page 61, third paragraph. No, I'm sorry, reading the wrong thing. 62, which I think is going to be 66 now because of how this weird thing works. Starting with the manufacturers and Tech Central. Oh, that starts in the middle. I remember that one. Tech Central... Yeah, I don't see it. And like I said, I don't want to waste... Oh, here we go. The manufacturers and Tech Central are known far beyond Borka's borders. From their workshops, they produce not only weapons or highly complex locks and traps, but legendary mechanical wonders, aimless constructs that are nothing more than a testimony to their creator's mad genius. The reason I wanted this mentioned was for when we get to talking about East Borka a bit. So you get this idea that they're Germans. They're manufacturing something. Put it together. So to point that out, so now we're going to talk about the Protectorate. Then we'll get to, because the Protectorate is West Borka. It is, and it goes into Franca as well. The quote to take off of this one is rules rules over all. And I know that's in here somewhere. I just don't know where. But that's the protector. If you can sum it up into one sentence, rules, comma, rules over all. If you love authoritarianism, hey, it's keeping you safe. The rest, well, they can go to the wastelands. They escape on their own to the wastelands, or they get to go to North Korea labor camps. Hooray!
Yay!
Because, somebody's got to make all that technology, right? Now, as the settlements joined the protectorate because they really had no other choice. It was either that or die. I mean, this whole psychonaut thing is crazy. It's powerful. Small societies can't live, and survival, especially when you get in the more nomadic ones, is absolutely difficult. Survival rate is low. However, after time, some of the clans start fighting back. And now they've actually come to realize that the protectorate might not be as strong as it's let on. And I'm going to leave it at that. You can read some of this stuff here, figure that out on your own. And now we've got some cities and so forth. I'm skipping a lot of that because, honestly, if this interests you, read it. And we have lost a lot of people. Apparently, I'm boring them. So East Borca is the opposite of West Borca. East Borca is trees and nature. In West Borca, where you can't find a tree to save your life, but metal's everywhere. In East Borca, it's the opposite. Everything out here is done on a more natural level. Everything here is done. What did I write down? Oh yeah, it's a nature. It's a nature side. And then lastly, look at that. See, there is technology in the game. The Praha Republic, which, if I'm understanding my map correctly, and if I understand traveling around Europe correctly, this is Prague, was a closed city for the longest time. And then the Black God showed up and said, die. And now they're scavenging. Now, by the way, the Black God, is it actually a god? Probably not. But the world has changed. So, but the Black God came in, didn't even stop here. It's just like, die. The clans are in there. I think what he said, it just took a couple of days. The Black God came at night. With a gesture, he tore the towering ramparts down in flashes of sunlight, and his gaze alone was said to have ripped swaths through the minefields. Then came the clans, spilling around their decaying god. You can get it from there. Mm. So that once closed city that everybody wanted to be part of, which I think was an archaeological dig, is now just chaos. And I said, I'm supposed to read the first paragraph of Purity. Sepsis is spreading. Spore fields rise from the soil in Franca, Pollen, and Pugare, or Pugare. I don't know. I'm going with Pugare because it reminds me of Purgatory, which is what I think that name comes from. Attracting aberrants, which are also the psychonauts, and dragging people to their doom. So far, only Borca is completely pure, and I probably should have said that at the beginning, or maybe I did and forgot. Borca was not hit by an asteroid. It's the only place that wasn't hit by an asteroid.
Well, in this region of the world.
Well, right. Well, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, nobody knows what happened in North and South America. Although it did mention in here at one point that Brazil went offline. So,
well, that's what happens with giant asteroid strikes. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right. Go through this. You can read the rest of this stuff on your own. This is an overview of the Swarm Franca. So Franca is France, roughly France and southern Britain. Mistdrift in. Okay. Is this it? The mist drifts from the swamps. I don't know if I like that. That's a lot to read. What page is that? Yep, that would be it. So what happened in France is the asteroids hit, and they have a. So did we talk about any of the psychonauts yet? We talked about we talked about the ones from
what they are and what they represent, okay. and that different ones come from different regions depending on where their genetic background. They all have different powers, but that's it.
Well, we talked about the ones from Poland. I thought we talked about one, but from Poland, from Poland. Those are the ones that can form bone and so forth. Yeah. Here, they are pheromonic. Which, if you think of the whole French side of stuff, again, so a little stereotyping going on.
Yep.
The French, Paris is the city of lights. French romance, Marquis de Sade. all this whole, emotional content, well, it's very French-like. Well, the Psychonauts are the same. And I don't know if it was intentional by the developers of the game.
The whole thing where the French didn't actually bathe.
This one's for you.
The French didn't actually bathe. They just covered themselves in perfume.
Oh, and that feeds right into this.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, when it pops up on here, please put Aaron the Pedantics. By the way, for anybody who's actually trying to be here for segment 2, where we talk about social media and freedom of speech and so on and so forth, that will happen. But we're going to get through this. France just said that's for you because I know how you feel.
Yeah. I hate all French people.
Misdrifts from the swamps in the central regions, moving to cover the land like veils. A sweetish, not a Swedish, but a sweetish odor of decay, well, that's very French for you, clings to the air, seeping into every pore like oil. It settles in the chest as a tickle, dragging all emotions into the depths of animalistic sensations. Some experience it as an aphrodisiac. Others are filled with revulsion and fear. There's one thing in common, though. All feel a sublime peace, as if the oil has calmed the waves of their consciousness. They're dragged into a peaceful obedience to the queens of their new hive, following their orders with an insectile mindlessness. In the center of Franca, insect and human have become part of the same collective. You've read 1984, right?
Yep.
What's my room 101?
What's your room 101?
Yeah. Bugs.
Oh, right. Yeah.
If you want a room 101 me, you put me in the...
You want to break down Max the Owl, put him in a room full of bugs.
Yep. I am a 5-year-old little girl running away from that crap. So yeah, this right here for me is just creepy as crap. I need to X-card it. Okay. Anyway, sorry. However, not all the... why am I reading that far? However, not all the Franca people go quietly into the pheromone-induced swarm. The people of Franca fight back. The rivers carrying the... Oh, I know why I'm reading all this now.
Vive la resistance.
Yeah, vive la resistance. Actually, that's Spain, but we'll get to that in a moment. The people of Franca fight back. The rivers carrying them deep into the land of their enemy. Pesticide, bombs, and fire pushing back the insects as they smoke out breeding colonies and sacrifice themselves to kill pheromancers, which are the name of the psychonauts of this area.
Of this area, right.
Yeah. Death is a better alternative to submission. The fighters of the resistance delve into Parasite, which is Paris. This is the new name of Paris, to steal great works of art from their old capital, trying to keep the dimly burning candle of their cultural heritage alight. Again, how French is that?
I know, right? I mean, you should just give up and try being someone else. You're French. Literally be anyone else, and you're better.
Even as the Neo-Libyans put down roots on their southern coast, that's going to be more in Spain when we start talking about that, but and tear the country's heart out to sell it for profit back in triple, which of course is triple.
I'm completely cool with that.
Well, I don't know if I would be, but so yes, so I read that. So anyway, the point of this is the fact, first of all, the pheromancers are they're mostly naked when they're formed, especially they're mostly naked, and they walk.
I think the most clothing they have are like boots and a small loincloth.
Loincloth, yeah, something like that. But they can wave away the bugs. So when the insects are all around, they can just go, no.
Oh, no. Yeah. We you didn't really go over that. At first there was a giant insect infestation.
There still is.
Well, yeah, but it was everywhere. I mean, it was ever present. The bugs would bite you, infect you, give you all kinds of crap. And the pheromancers at first were beneficial because they can to a certain extent control the bugs. And so first like, oh yeah, this is great. And then, the whole insidiousness started and we're like, oh, they're not great anymore.
And this wasn't the only place that this happened. And bugs are a theme in every one of the cultures. So, it says read the last paragraph. Oh, well, guess what? It says read the last paragraph here. So, and that's under that one. So I'm just going to basically repeat what you just said. Years later, the strangers have become known as the pheromancers. The mistrust has vanished. And for those that took the offer of a new life, all that remains is a feverish love and a feeling of absolute peace. It wasn't just the insects that were caught in the pheromancers' net. However, for those that were less trusting, a bitter hatred of these creatures burns in their hearts. Well, yeah, because you see them mind controlling people and turning them into the way it's described here is basically they fade away. They're nothing but skeletal skin and bones. It's like the 1980s pictures of Ethiopia, except for they're all in rapture over these nasty, these ferromancers. So Souffrance is where the asteroid hit. It says read paragraph 2 and apparently 3. In the mountain world perfect circle of Souffrance crater is stamped, and on its slopes sprawls a city of humans and ferromancers. So I'm sure you know how that goes.
Yep.
I don't. No one lives in Souffrance for long. For those who have given into the ferromancers, the months on these slopes are a spiritual experience that makes them one with the peacemakers. Most leave as emissaries, finally going out to carry the ferromancers' wisdom to the surrounding villages. The ferromancers mark their property with pheromone markers, enabling their emissaries to safely climb the crater wall and pass the insect barriers unchecked. They're turned into bugs. Come on now. Once they reach the crest, they worm into the cusp where the ferromancer queens breed. Visitors to Souffrance see this as an honor. Yeah, the Spitalians only see more traitors to humanity.
Yeah.
Thing is, if you're caught in the pheromone and you can't help it, I don't know if I'd see them as traitors.
Yeah, but the thing about these battalions, they had to draw a hard line. They had to draw a hard line.
Sure. Oh,
infected, not human.
Mm-hmm.
Uninfected, human. It's binary. It's 1 or 0, and that's it.
Yep.
And that is the only way to preserve the 0 is to eliminate the 1.
Here's a voice of somebody who may be pheromone induced. I lick my lips. She liked that. Her fingers run through my hair as I brush aside the ants covering her. Slowly, so slowly, not wanting to hurt her, my lips caress her body. Then my tongue pushes into her festering pores, rummaging through the sticky manna. My queen is satisfied. She cuddles against me. She smells wonderful. For a moment, I am her lover, more than just her slave. She falls asleep. I leave her. I rejoin the ranks of the hive who so willingly serve her. Look, I don't care how much artistic writing was put into the World of Darkness books. This beats it hands down.
Yeah,
but,
that was worse.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's worse, but it's also better.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yes. No, absolutely. So the Untouchables, they are unaffected by the ferromancers. And Marduk oil is an important deal because it's actually a trade commodity. In Franca, the ferromancer discharge is far more valuable for the Anubians who know how to distill it into the legendary Marduk oil. By the way, if you think of the area, Anubians obviously is going to be like Egyptian, right? Marduk oil is also that area. Marduk is a Sumerian god. Mm-hmm. When rubbed onto the skin, it creates a layer of oil which blocks the pheromones from entering the body and protects the users from their influences. So cool. that is a hot commodity. There is a resistance. Basically, the resistance, they are anointed in Marduk oil. I think it says, right there.
Yeah, it says the end of the thing, yeah.
And they fight. They fight back against the ferromancers. And how long is this? Okay, not too much longer. That's right, because I have to talk about Britain also. That's right. So not too much left here. Spiders are kind of the antithesis. The Spitalians bred a spore-resistant spider to keep the Spital insect free. They exported these. Okay, look. You can read them more of it later. So I'm going to stop at every little note. But there are ways of fighting back is the point. Ziggurat. So these emissaries, not the emissaries, the leaders, the Psychonaut leaders, they kind of form these enclaves. That is just yummy, yummy. Makes me want to go in there, right?
Yeah, that's a whole Indiana Jones Temple of Doom type looking thing here. I'm not about that.
Right? Well, in Britain, and by Britain I mean Brittany. Is it Brittany? Yeah, the far west of France. We're not talking about Britain as in the British Isles. Breton, Bretonia. They overthrew one. And the quick version of it is they're free of the Fairmancer because of a local uprising. And what happened was Anabaptists from Britain cleansed the area. Now, I think they requested something from Borca, but they didn't get there in time. Now, the Anabaptists ended his reign, throwing him into ilk and fire. Basically, another group was trapped outside. The Anabaptists, killed them.
Just burned them all. Yep.
Yeah. So that area is free right now. And that's where a lot of the resistance is. And lastly, in actual Britain, there's limited knowledge of it. Passage north, passage south. There's limited knowledge of it. Okay, that's actually Bretonia. Where is it? Stukov Desert. I didn't talk about that. Doesn't matter. You can look at it. It's just a frozen desert. In Britain, there's limited knowledge of it because no one dares to travel further north than the rim of the crater ever since the Marauder Argyre. Now, the Marauders are the Argyre, I guess that's how it'd be because that's British. Are the it's like the Black God. Okay, they're called Marauders. So this is a really powerful sumbitch. Declared that the region was off limits to all but those in his service. Since then, there are rumors circling around Britain of light displays lighting up the sky, of pillar of rays groping for the sun, of people with a bulky apparatus on their necks forced to be slaves, and of savages with their skin painted in glowing green paint who roam the lands at night. No scrappers ever gone to Britain and come back alive. Well, there you go. Whatever's going on in that land, Britain is known as the vulture's domain. Okay. Got an idea of which one we're looking at next? This gives it away.
Oh, is this the Viking one?
The Poland. Yep. Poland. Each one of these is going to get a little quicker and quicker just because there's no need to repeat what's already been repeated. You get it. It's a wasteland, right?
Yep.
So Poland is roughly Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Belarusia. I wrote that in Russian. Are you kidding me? I wrote that in Russian. Belarusia. Okay. Page 83, read the last paragraph. Is that page 83? So, two forces of nature collide in Poland. The Polanders live somewhere in between, carrying their belongings from oasis to oasis on sleds. They are bull-necked giants relying only on their community and their strength. They defend the oasis with stone axes and their own blood against psychonauts, Spitalians, and the sin of apocalyptics. No one messes with them until once again the wasteland comes crashing down and they must move on. So they find these areas of like, okay, we can rest here for a little bit. Essentially, they harvest it out, whether that takes a day, a week, a month, a year, but eventually they've got to go and they've got to move on. But they're caught between these two forces. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. Their entire society is based on strength, the stone axe. They even ride mammoths. Come on. How cool is that? So their psychonauts are called burners. And these are the burners that can change their form and so on and so forth. And it has to do with how they feel as they start taking on the psychonaut form, we'll just call it. But they can survive the cold. They can eat foul lichen. It says on page 85, read paragraphs 2 through 4. Where's 85? That's 89, so that's 85. The Polanders saw a new type of human in them, adapted and strong. That was what they wanted, what they wished for in their children. In fact, these creatures were immune to cold and their wounds healed incredibly fast. They would fare better in this land than their parents. So right off the cuff, you're like, hey, genetic mutation, survival of the fittest is a good thing, right? But this metamorphosis soon frightened the Polanders. Bone spurs grew from the children's forearms. Skin fins formed on the necks and legs. Pride gave way to uneasiness. Some clans called them leechers as they crawled from one woman to the next at night, seeking their breasts. Oh yeah, they continually fed as well. And they grew, if I remember correctly, they grew in 1 year's time, they grow to like a kid the age size of like a 4-year-old. So they grow really quickly. Oh, I'm supposed to read one more paragraph. Oh yeah, at age 1, I just mentioned that. You get it. So there are two sides to this, though. Of course, you have the mother spore, which we've talked about before, the spore fields that create the psychonauts, right? But on the other side are the fractal forests. The fractal forests take over the mother spore lands. So as the spores spread, the pollinators kept moving from oasis to oasis, but then they kept running into these fractal forests. Well, the fruit of the fractal forest isn't edible. It is so much if you overcook it, basically. But again, I'm nuancing things, so we're not going to go there. But the fractal forests, nobody knows for sure if they're at odds with the mother spore or just like the next natural evolution of them. But they form these trees, and there'll be a picture of one. Here we go. Here's one. And these trees grow like that, like within like, I think it's a day. And if I'm wrong, somebody will correct me. But whoop, all of a sudden, tree there. Don't eat it. Or if you eat it, cook the crap out of it. And I hope I didn't just mix up. Now that I think about the cooking of it, I hope I didn't mix that up with the Balkans. I may have. That would be bad. Talking about the Balkans, there is a wall. So they call it the spore wall between Poland and the Balkans. Eternal Oasis influx. Like I said, this was going to start moving quicker as we got through. Oh, that's going to be Poland. Where's the spore wall? Okay, at the spore front. So there's a spore wall. I thought there's a picture of it. Maybe I'm wrong. That separates the Balkans, which, if you know anything about the map, we're talking like Estonia, Serbia, so on and so forth, with the northern areas of more like Ukraine, Belarusia, Russia. Sorry, not Russia. I guess technically yes. Poland, and so on and so forth. That cannot be crossed. So you cannot get from Poland to the Balkans. The Balkan sepsis meets up with the Poland spore fields. And it just grows into this crazy nasty. All right, let's move on. Oh, it's out of order. Or is it? Yep. Let's move on to Balkans. Balkan society is kind of like what you think it would be. You know, again, the Polish were what? Basically Vikings. Mm-hmm. The French were, pheromone-induced lovers. The Balkans, if you look at the history of the area for like the last 700-800 years, you're going to find out that they're all fighting each other. Yugoslavia might have been one country on a map, but really it wasn't. Well, it's kind of the same thing here. So it's roughly, Ukraine all the way down through Greece and Crete. What does it say here? It says, page 95, read paragraph 2. The land is just like its people, untamed, proud warriors of a proud nation. Hospitality means everything to them, but one wrong word is enough, and years of peace lose their meaning. The table is toppled. Plates and cups rattle across the floor, and old friends meet as enemy. They love and laugh as they hate and fight, driven by passion with no compromise. They love strength and competition. Maybe that is why so many of them gather under a warlord's banner in the, voivodates. Voivodates, I don't know. In Beograd, Dalmatia, and Sofia, they build their future only to tear it down. They celebrate, hit each other, and make up again. Okay, so, it's actually very reminiscent, again, of a stereotype version, but of that area historically speaking. They will absolutely band together to fight back against invaders, like the Africans. So Africa attacked. The Balkani unified and started to perform some guerrilla warfare. Africa regrouped, bought off Voivodate, however you call it, who actually was just siding with them because he wanted to get back to like the main city. I didn't write it down what it is here. I think it's the Bow one, Beograd. Yeah, Beograd. And then once the Africans helped him get there, he wiped them out. So he just turncoated on him. There you go. So at this point, the Africans at that point had enough. Now, the psychonauts of the Balkans are called the Dushani. And what they do is they sing songs, sing histories and songs and so forth. And these songs get into your brain until you basically turn into a mindless drone. You see visions, you hear things, you start thinking differently, and then all your free will is gone.
Awesome.
I mean, because if you think of the area is heavily influenced by oral tradition. Even today, is heavily influenced by oral tradition. Should I say the word that'll get me banned off of YouTube?
Do it.
Gypsies.
Oh, no, I'm out.
Great. Anyway, like I said before, this is intentionally sped up. Like, I'm sorry if I was boring for the first couple, but I really had to set a tone. But now, you want to read more, want to know more about Turkey, you can read that on your own. Hyperspania. Obviously, by the name of it, you should kind of know what it is. It's roughly Portugal and Spain. Now, the asteroid hit south of Toledo. And at that point, tsunamis toppled coastal winds and turbines. So they started using petrol generators, which means they need fuel, right? Well, on here it says, read Gibraltar. The bridge across the Strait of Gibraltar had been hit. The old road hung from the pillars like... Is it time to read that yet? Gibraltar and... Okay, yeah, it is. The old road hung from the pillars like a wet rag. Ships and debris had been washed against columns and clung there. The sea level fell, sand and flotsam formed islands, more ships closed the gaps. A skilled climber could almost have crossed from Spain to Africa without getting wet. The Spaniards handled the rest. They built dams, used debris as foundation, inserted ramps, and bridged gaps. Where the terrain was soggy, they dehydrated it and fortified it with concrete. For the last few hundred meters, the Africans cheered the Spanish workers on and poured tons of rocks into the gap themselves. Again, they thought this was going to be some sort of, hey, we're going to meet up together. Almost none of the Spaniards knew what would happen next. Workers on both sides were still shaking hands and exchanging gifts when the Spanish oil prospectors came. They were all armed to the teeth, machine guns mounted on the beds of their trucks. They came on at breakneck speeds. The natives gave way and waved at them. They stormed the first oil fields. Convoys brought barrels to Gibraltar. The mission was a huge success. African oil made lamps flicker and glow in Madrid. The Africans, however, were angry.
What'd they get? Just screwed?
No, they thought the Spaniards were just building a bridge to say hi. And actually,
building a bridge, bring humanity together, kumbaya, all that great stuff.
And the Spaniards who built the bridge actually thought the same thing.
Oh, okay. Compartmentalized information. I get it. But now, you're probably going to actually get to this. But did the Spaniards give anything back when they took the oil?
let me finish reading these here because I love this next line. This was theft. They demanded the intruders get their white asses back to their own country. I love it. I love the writing of this. The Spaniards begged to differ. It quickly escalated. Okay. So I don't know. I wanted to read that. I loved.
What I find it amazing that the Spaniards thought, oh, we could just walk over there, take their oil, and they'll be completely cool with that.
Well, what do most people think of when they think of Africa? Third world. They don't have much technology. There's civil wars going on all over the place, and part of that was true. But Africa was turning into a subtropical paradise.
Yeah, and they didn't know that. The first people I would have sent over that brand new bridge would have been scouts, not dudes with guns.
To be fair, this happened a couple hundred years ago. What I just read happened a couple hundred years ago. Did I write the date down in here? So I don't think it was right at 500. Yeah, it says 200 years ago. I have it written in here. So through information, this isn't like modern, like right now where we kind of understand what's going on. This is pretty 500 years ago when the asteroid hit. And I thought when I read this originally happened 500 years ago, but I guess I was wrong.
Herald Studio says it.
What's that? Oh, Conquistadors 2.0, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, that was good. I like that. African numbers grew, and they started to ambush the Spanish convoys. They trained and prepared to strike back. And this is the important part. All of Africa. You know how big the northern part of Africa is, right? That's a lot of space, especially when you consider that the Sahara now is subtropical populated lands. And effectively, as we'll talk about in a little bit, the way I describe it, I don't think it's described in this book like this, but New Tripoli is effectively the Carthage of this world. So it's rich. All of Africa pushed the invaders back to Gibraltar. On that day, Spain ended and Hyperspania began because the Africans crossed And if you look at that, if you look at the map on what page was that? Right at the beginning. So we're on 112 right now. Let's go. Can I do one? Oh. You can see right here. I know it's sideways, but Africa is in Spain. Also, if you understand Spanish history, Granada especially, this was controlled by the Muslims back in the 1400s. The subtle reminders of history that this game does, I just absolutely love. Okay, apparently I went too far. Anyway, reminiscent of Napoleon's. So one of the things they're going to talk about pretty heavily here, Cordoba. Actually, I think that's a city. That's Lisbon. Yeah, those are the cities. What's the name of the chick? Let's show some of the art. The art is important. And these camps like this are kind of important to note as well. Well, anybody who studies history, I'm not going to try to find her name right now, but anybody who studies history and understands like the Napoleonic Wars and what Spain did to Napoleon will recognize this as like, it's history repeating itself again. So as I wrote down here, reminiscent of Napoleon's conquest of Spain, this war between Africa, the war is still on between Africa and Spain, is now a small-scale guerrilla conflict. Self-sacrifice and mercilessness are virtues in this war. It's not done. There is no battle line. It is not done with thousands of troops. It is done with little small squads. Maybe another way to look at it is like the VC from the Vietnam War. But it is all small-scale stuff, but it is continual, just like the partisans were to Napoleon. It's page 114. Renegades, read the first paragraph. So that would be up here. Woman of the Mountain. Okay, there's that. Where the hell's Renegades? Prophecy, Destiny. Am I just missing it? Price too high. Renegados. Maybe that's what I meant. Oh, yeah, okay, I can't read my own writing. The Africans did not come as invaders. The blood in its eyes blinded the wildly flailing lion. Now remember, Africa is the lion, the crow is Europe. It pursued as predators do. This is the language of this book. So we're like, it didn't come as invaders, so how are they attacking? No. It's not looking to invade land. It pursued as predators do. Its thirst for revenge had not been sated at Gibraltar, so it followed the murder of fleeing crows north, killed one after the other. Its claws razed Jerez, Malaga, or the Jerez? I don't know. Granada and Seville were soon to follow. Cartagena? I can't speak Spanish, sorry. I can do French and Russian, you're not getting the Spanish out of me. Was destroyed. Okay. However, in the end, even a lion settles down. The thirst for revenge turned to bitterness. The wounds still hurt. Too many had fallen to the Hyperspanian attacks. Even if every damn Hyperspanian was to bleed out, nailed to a tree, the guilt could never be erased. And oh, by the way, this nailed to a tree is actually mentioned multiple times in here. It is a thing. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, the psychonauts of Hyperspania are called pregnostics. Pre-Gnostics. Gnostics. So it's like Gnosticism. They live in the past and the present at the same time. And while the Hyperspanians aren't like friends of theirs, they have helped them in the cause against the Africans. So there's an uneasy, a distrustful alliance/Cold War, for lack of a better term, between them. Except for the Renegados, who say, screw that, those things are degenerate non-humans, let's wipe them all out, all of them. But yeah, so as far as Hyperspania goes as a whole, they need them. It's kind of a necessity thing right now, and they can see what is going on. It's sometimes done through, typical mysticism crap, where it's like, you have to understand the portents, but they can see the past, the present, they can warn you of attacks and so on and so forth. So, yeah, we'll leave it at that. 2 more to go. Pugare. How many of you people here know about Italian history? Well, this is basically Italy history and Corsica. The asteroid hit east of Mount Vesuvius by about 50 miles or 70 miles or whatever it was. The one main the biggest thing to get across here is if you've read Romeo and Juliet, you know about family squabbles in ancient Italy, right? If you know about the Italian city-states, you know about, it's one family against another family. It's almost like the whole mafia thing. That is how Purgatory is set up right now. Neighbors hate neighbors. Cities hate cities. Everybody's against everybody.
And they hold those grudges for hundreds of years.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's absolutely generational. I even wrote that on here. It's generational. 300 now. So there's also Pugare and Balkan were at war for about 300 years. 300 years of fighting between Pugare and Balkan. Currently, the fuse is not burning, but it is short. Imagine the Balkans. Remember, they hate everybody. They hate their brother. I think there's a quote in there, if I remember correctly, I hate my brother, except for
we hate our uncle.
Yeah, but together we hate our uncle, and all together we hate everyone else. Something like that. It kind of talks about that. Now you got these little family lines of just burning hatred. It's hard to make peace between those two lands, and I'm way oversimplifying, but you get it. But right now there's a little bit of peace, and that's a combination of factors. Obviously, you got the Psychonauts, but also Africa. Like it's the crow versus the lion in some regard. The Psychonauts of Pugare are the psychokinetics. They feed from people through parasitic insects. That flea bite might not be a normal flea. That mosquito bite or sting might not be a normal mosquito sting. Tapeworms, great times. Power the Psychonauts from here. And what happens is they build up energy in their solar plexus, and it's a visible energy. You can see it. And they can expel that energy around them as a shield or as an explosion or whatnot. They're kind of like the most, if you want to call it, they're like the most superpowered. They're the Marvel characters of the world. And it says read Bedane first. Let's look at some of the art. See, for motorcycles, Mount Vesuvius, Roma. Anabaptists, there's a big story about the Anabaptists here I'm not going to go into.
Scrapper.
Okay, Bedane. So it says, read the first paragraph. Olive groves and vineyards, healthy crops in abundance, a mild climate and friendly people. This is how Sicily greeted the Africans. They answered by first igniting the ports with incendiary grenades from their ships and then sending out hundreds of scourgers. Surge tanks, that's African, by the way. Surge tanks crashed into the docks. Their tracks crushed the ancient concrete. They rolled through the fields and stopped in front of settlements, shaking and roaring. Buggies encircled them, haunted those who tried to escape. Sorry, hunted, not haunted. The Neo-Libyan Sarahali, a big man with hands like paws and a tendency for flamboyant gestures, confronted the island's eldest, put an arm around his shoulders, and walked through the village with him. Not going to read the rest of that, but the point was that Africa is not just hitting France or Hispania or the Balkans. Africa has taken out the white man. And historically speaking, and I'm not trying to get real world because they address it here, historically speaking, they have a kind of a good reason to.
Nah, racist bastards.
Yeah.
Cancel them.
And that's where we're going to end. We're going to end on Africa. I have my Africa notes right here.
Cancel their culture.
So I'm at 134. So I'm going to go back to, I guess it's page like 4-ish. Oh. So let's look at the map. So we got Africa here. Now, obviously, I'm not going to flip the map around, but you got the little northern section here. Obviously, the Cairo Delta, going up in the Middle East and then the Balkans, right? Well, this is what I want to focus on right here. This Doruba. This is the asteroid of Africa. Cool. Kind of a big chunk, huh?
Yeah.
I wish they would have done blue for the water. That red drives me nuts.
Right? That's really upsetting me.
It's
red
the
is
only
water, right?
It's the only part of the map I don't like, by the way, or even of the game and how it's written. I mean, there's some things that are like, I think the Psychonauts are a little two-dimensional, but whatever. I mean, they're not a problem. It's just that map. That's my one complaint about the game. No more 5-star, right? Oops, I thought I said 122. Is that wrong? Yeah, whatever.
You were there.
Yeah. So 134, or maybe it was 134. I just forgot. This book sounds anti-white. It is not anti-white. No,
It is not.
It is not.
The Africans are.
It's just providing a historical context. It really is. Believe me. I don't want to get on that subject. This is segment 1. You don't have to worry about that from me. The lion rampant, Africa. So what is it about Africa? So we talked about the Doruba, right? The asteroid broke up and it created Doruba. As we mentioned before, the Sahara is now subtropical, and Africa is rich, reminiscent of ancient Egypt or ancient Ethiopia or ancient Carthage. Something like that. I mean, it's making goods, it's trading with everybody, it's got minerals, it's northern part of an entire continent. So Degenesis race war confirmed, kind of. I mean, but to be fair, the Africans didn't start it, the Spaniards kind of did, right? So as I say, it's too early for this history teacher. It's too early for this history teacher to be day drinking. Wow. Hate everyone equally, the filthy Frank approach. I'm sorry, I haven't been reading chat, so catch up a little bit. So anyway, time of the crow, which means Europe. Everything was as it always had been. Europe was rich and sated, its people armed to the teeth with education, the latest technological developments. Africa had professionalized civil war until nothing remained from its ancient cultures but bleached bones and stream posts. Oh, by the way, this is talking about current day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. On March 13th, 2073, I'll still be 99. I won't be 100 yet. The sun darkened, glowing lines of plasma and nitric oxides cut through the atmosphere. So, boom. The lion awakens. Africa survived. So I say, look at page 132, read Time of the Crow, first paragraph. Oh, I did that. Oh, did I not? I read half of it. Isn't that good enough? In return, they gave the warlords weapons. Yeah, I don't need to read that. We understand history. So disease spread, and here we go. I thought this was funny. It was resistant to existing treatments. Internally, it was called HIV extreme.
Wow, that's creative. All right.
No, but think about it. This game does not go anti-white. It hits historical context or references for everybody. Only days later, all of Africa knew it simply as hive. So people rioted when the military received the first vaccinations, and then it said, read the last paragraph, hive ate through Africa unchecked, but some regions were spared. Many Libyans and Sudanese were immune, just like the Maasai. The blood of one of these tribal warriors could have led to salvation, but another event ruined any chance of that, and that was with the asteroid hitting, right? So centuries have changed the climate. We talked about that a little bit, but again, as the Ice Age hit the north and south, that allowed the Sahara, wind patterns and so forth, got rains, and it became fertile. It didn't happen overnight, of course, but this is 500 years later. It says, read a third paragraph. I can't read my own writing anymore. Oh, pause type. Okay, makes sense. That changed when the Hiberspanian conquistadors, hey, who said that earlier? Good job. Raided Africa and cut a swath of destruction, I can't talk, from Gibraltar to Tripoli. The years of work were destroyed. Proud cities and peoples were lost in the fire. The Africans understood the white man would never let them live in peace. In its heart, war and greed burned, and that fire would always be hotter than reason and love. Only when chained, the white man would pose no more danger. I'm telling you, I don't care what anybody says. I don't find this to be racist because I think that from the perspective, it makes perfect sense. And I love the language used in it because they didn't shy away from it. I love it. I'm sure some Twitter fool will be, oh, that's just making black men sound like this and blah, blah. Look, it's a world, it's some stereotypical nonsense. It's post-apocalyptic where people stop thinking rationally. It doesn't bother me at all. So what do I have in here? So read Psychovores from in. Okay. Oh, it goes to there. So I'm going to read this much. Because this one's a little different. These are the Psychovores, not the Psychonauts, okay? In Doruba, something ancient grows, something that is not from this world. Leathery cusps grow on ferns, mosses form symmetric hexagonal patterns. Carnivorous plants press their digestive calyxes, I hope I pronounced that right, into the ground or rise high, growing perfectly geometrical leaves, pentagons and octagons glinting unnaturally in the light. They are thorny and brittle like glass. Their fruits bulge and shimmer in the light, but they are fragile and their pulp makes unsettling noises between the teeth before the poison seeps into the oral mucus and triggers a painful death. One scratch of their thorns and blisters grows on the skin within seconds and blacken. The blisters burst while the necrotic crater keeps growing deep into the tissue until the bone crumbles and the arm breaks. Nothing can stop the decay. The only liberation from the pain is death.
Wait. You get cut. The blisters start. You're like, uh-oh, chop off your arm.
Nothing can
like
stop the decay.
It's not Romero zombie infection. If you get it quick enough, you can chop off the arm.
It's not Walking Dead. Remember, the black goo that came from the asteroids affects you at a genetic level. Now, to be fair, I'm not going to say that couldn't happen, and maybe in a scenario somewhere that does, but I'm just going with what it says here, okay? So, liberation from pain is death. Everyone in proximity of these plants loses language and talks in tongues.
Wait. And I think even being nearby these things, your brain is affected?
Yep. Many villages believe them to be an echo of the ancestors, as I highlighted there.
I hope not, because then your ancestors don't like you very much.
Well, voices of the ancestors doesn't mean the ancestors created it. Maybe the ancestors are like, no, don't do it. Jimmy, why did you touch it, Jimmy? Anyway, so the main theme of this is that the psychovore causes this unity because of the speaking in tongues, the unified language and communication, right? But at what cost? And that's what the Africans are fighting against. They're like, nope. I don't think that's necessarily a good idea. But what if it's
anything that kills you when you touch it gots to go?
Right?
Does it? I don't know. I don't know why there's a debate. Who the hell is debating this? You eat the fruit,
Beautiful
you
moss.
die. You get scratched from it, you die. What's the upside to this? Well, we all speak the same language.
No. That's not from being cut. That's just from being near it. Yeah.
Yeah,
just don't touch it.
Near it increases the chances of being cut by it by a lot.
Right?
Timmy fell down the well. Is replaced with Timmy fell on a thorn.
And Timmy is going, I love
exactly, and then dies.
And then, no, he didn't. Oh yeah, well if he fell in the thorn, he did. But
exactly.
if he just lived near it,
thorn, he starts speaking in tongues. You don't understand what he's saying. Is oh god, it hurts. My bones are being destroyed from the inside. Please kill me. Everywhere around, go. Oh, Timmy's speaking the ancestral language. No, he's not. No, he's not.
I don't. Can you read hieroglyphics in ancient Egyptian? You don't know. All right, let's go. Almost done here. So as you can see, Tripoli is the hub of the world. From here, the Neo-Libyans, which Heathen Dog will talk about next week, set out into the Mediterranean, exploring the coast, etc., right? Masses live in skyscrapers flagged with awnings and panels of cloth. It kind of reminds me of like Judge Dredd. What was another post-apocalyptic thing where they lived like inside these huge skyscrapers? I know I saw one recently. I forget what it is. Judge Dredd is the only one that comes to mind right now.
Yeah.
But so I call it the modern Carthage. It's the center of the world. Anubia, you got the Bank of Commerce and so forth, which I could get into. Anubia, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Pyramids. Except
Pyramid
for
with jungles. That's funny.
This is all psychovore. All of this.
Oh, goody.
Yeah, so the entire Nile Delta
is ruined.
Is psychovore. The psychovores expand. They have already conquered Anubia. Yay!
That's great.
So the Africans do have their own. They're not just up fighting, Whitey. They have a reason.
They all have their own. Everyone has something in common. They're all fighting literally supernatural forces beyond our nature.
The last thing I'm going to read before we end segment 1, or we'll have our final comments about segment 1, is decay. The Mediterranean is dying. Since the Atlantic Ocean's inflow at Gibraltar has been stopped, remember, Irish
The whole
Bandians.
bridge thing. Yeah.
Yep. Has been stopped. The water surface is sinking. The salinity grows. Fish are dying and rotting. Algae slicks flourish. On bad days, a leaden stink wafts over from the Mediterranean, chasing the people into their homes or the hinterland. Great. So your one cleaning system that you have in the area, you know, all the silt that comes from the Nile, all the psychovore silt that comes from the Nile now, it's just getting trapped in a big lake.
Great.
All right.
You know what? So far, I've decided that the best thing that could happen for the Mediterranean, for Spain, and for Africa is someone to come along and take apart that bridge. Just exit it from existence.
But if we look at it, was it page? We'll try 2. It's not just a bridge that was built across. This rate, look at how big that landscape is.
Yeah.
Remember, they said that you could practically walk across without touching water.
Right. But still, water was still flowing, so the Mediterranean would get fresh nutrients, and large vehicles of war wouldn't be able to pass back and forth between Africa and Spain, and lots of problems would be solved if that were now the case.
Would the flow be enough? I don't know. I just, you know.
Hey, you know what? Lots of
even
big boom boom will fix a lot of things.
Fair enough. Look at what they call Corsica. Corpse.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, actually, I want to go back to what page I was on for just a moment. 146, I think it was. So yeah, 146, right? So we just covered 146 pages. By the way, the highest, most... you can actually find videos on this stuff that are pretty good. 146 pages in just an hour and a half. Heathen Dog has to go from 147 to 368.
Yeah, so that's my job. That's not going to happen.
But, but instead of 3 days, he gets a whole week. I had 3 days.
I'll have a whole week to read all 13 clans.
But you can do an overview like I did. You don't have to dive deep into it.
I might have to resort to slideshows. Okay. I might have to do it just to make it quick enough.
But I want to thank Indigo Dragon for pointing this game out to me. I don't know if I love him or hate him, but he pointed it out in a YouTube comment, and I checked it out. I've been really bad about, like, you know, I said earlier, I've been really bad about looking at the YouTube comments this week, and I don't think Heathen Dog did this a single time for me. He did not mask me a single time.
No, I didn't. I was reading chat.
Okay.
But yeah, Shara says, who did Heathen Dog tick off? No, it was my own stupid thing. Before I read the amount of pages, I said, hey, how about you take the
I said, I don't know, to be clear, I said I'm not going to be able to get through this. And I didn't think he was going to come back and say, hey, you want to help? Because normally I'm just telling him, like, because Heathen Dog normally doesn't read through this stuff beforehand. That's more me, just because I want to make sure we cover all the salient points. But I was like, dude, this is some heavy reading. I cannot get through this in time. He's like, well, I can look over the cults for you. I'm like, hell yeah, please.
Yeah, he didn't tell me that the present had a bomb in it.
Well, I kind of did. I mean, I hinted that there's something TikToking in there because of...
Yeah.
But no, I'm loving it. I be honest with you, I'm absolutely loving it. I will tell you, and Heathen Dog, I have a little bit of skepticism over the fact of, I think it's a little too two-dimensional with the Psychonauts, and what I mean by that is, okay, they're all bugs, okay, a couple plants, whatever. I wish it would have been a little more diverse, for the lack of a better term. Kind of like horrors are in Earth Dawn, and I'm intentionally using an Earth Dawn analogy now, because outside of that, I would tell you I prefer this story to Earth Dawn's story, and to Forbidden Land's story. I do. So,
well,
I like it so
think
far.
That the Psychonauts are two-dimensional just because they are so different that their motivations are completely incomprehensible to human beings.
I treated it like they came from the same, because they all came from the same asteroids that
yeah,
they're all
exactly.
similar.
They literally came from an environment that is so alien as to be incomprehensible to us. So there, actually, I'm reminded of Ender's Game, the
book,
not the movie that sucked,
the book,
but the book, where there were 3 classifications of species. And I can't remember 2 of the 3, but the third one is I believe it was Verlace or something like that.
I only read the first one. After I saw what was in the other 2, I was like, no, I'm not getting into that hippie
okay,
nonsense.
well, there are 3 classifications of species that are different than human. There's 1, 2, and 3. 1 is there is some common ground. There is a way to learn each other's language, to learn each other's motivations. Peace can easily be achieved. And then there's 2. 2 is both of us can coexist even without the ability to fully understand each other. Some basic tenets of life is important, liberty is important, and all of this can be gotten around as long as we keep our distance. Great. And then there's number 3. Whereas these 2 forms of life are so completely alien and different in both thinking and biology that peace can never be achieved. Only conflict and the destruction of one or the other is going to result. And that's exactly what I feel like that this alien brought spore, which has unraveled the DNA and recreated it into something more of its own image, has now become so alien that there is no coexistence.
Well, it's literally changing. It's not coexisting because it's trying to change you.
Exactly. There is no coexistence. There is no understanding. There is either we're going to die or it's going to die. And that is it. Verlace is, a sentient species, but I have no idea how to understand you. Yes, there is no understanding or common ground that can be found. The 2 species are so alien that conflict is not only inevitable, it is absolutely necessary for one or the other to survive.
I don't know.
And in Ender's Game, it was against the bugs and the humans, and the bugs died because that's how it is.
I'm gonna try this. I don't know if this is gonna work. I haven't done this in a long time, and I don't know if it works on the YouTube side. I'm gonna try it. Nope, didn't work. Tried to shout out Aaron the Pedantic there. I do appreciate that he's on the show. If you haven't checked out his thoughts and so forth, as is very well known, he and I don't agree on everything. But if I think you should be able to post a link to it. If not, Aaron the Pedantic, I'll get one a little bit. But we don't agree on everything, that's for sure. But I think we agree on more than we disagree on. That's for sure. He's an up and coming channel. He's got more ins with people than I do, but that's probably because I burn every bridge. Every bridge that comes my way, I burn it. Because that's what we do here. But channel's definitely moving forward. It's got a lot of good philosophy on his thoughts of tabletop RPGs and so forth. Some good commentary. I never catch his live streams live because, well, I live in Germany and I'm busy. But I do try to catch him on the flip side.
Yeah. Okay. Mark Hochman, he's getting into the depths of the book. I only use the book as an example, but this is a sentient virus, basically that is attacking the world in Degenesis. There is no understanding with it. There is no compromise. There is no détente. It's either us or them, and that's how it's going to be. But yes, with the whole bugs, Ender saved a bug queen, and thousands of years later reintroduced bugs in the world, but still separated them from the humans because the humans would still obliterate them. So, they physically separated them so that they could live over there. We could live over here. As long as we don't touch, that's fine. Technically, that equates to the number 2 I was talking about. But the whole living virus is 3. It is Varlace. It is completely incompatible with our life in any way, shape, or form. And that is the crux of this book. Sure, humans still hate other humans. That's fine. That's always going to be the way. All right. Until we're all so interbred, we're all gray. Whatever. All right. It's always going to be the way. But the alien spores that come from this thing hate us all equally. And okay, not hate, but think of us all equally, just breeding stock for themselves, and that's it. We are food. We are wombs. That's all we are to them. To this thing, we are not individuals or living creatures. There is no regard for us. We should have no regard for them in return.